Hello and welcome to Tête-à-Tête, France 24's flagship interview show. Our guest today is Yair Lapid. He is the leader of the Israeli opposition, and he joins us from Tel Aviv. Thank you very much, Mr. Lapid, for being our guest today.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you for having me.
The U.S. and Israel are at war with Iran. I understand you have been briefed by the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. You have many disagreements with him over a number of issues. Are you fully behind his decision and President Trump's decision to go to war with Iran?
Yes, it's kind of a first for me. I think I've earned the title Netanyahu's biggest rival, but not on this one. I think it is one of those rarest things in the 21st century, which is a just war. It is a conflict in which there's no ambiguity about the difference between good and evil here. This is us trying to make sure that Iran does not become a nuclear power, Iran does not become a ballistic missile power, and doesn't have the abilities to attack us anymore. And on top of this, it might create the conditions or terms for the Iranian people for a change of regime.
Well, when you interacted with the Prime Minister, did he tell you that this is a regime change war? Because this is what he essentially said to the public and first and foremost to the Iranian people.
Well, I think it's up to the Iranian people. Very rarely, if any, it happens so that the regime was changed or a government was changed by airstrikes. And usually it's up to the people themselves. The people of Iran took to the streets only last January. I mean, the entire global communities, had full of admiration for the courage and the determination. And maybe we're enabling the conditions for them to change the regime and to topple the regime. We still have to see if there's a new, if there's a Iranian Mandela or Iranian Lech Walesa or Iranian Gandhi that will change the regime. Again, these young people who took to the streets risking their life have our appreciation and admiration, but they have to take their own fate into their own hands. Yet this operation makes things or must make things easier for them, especially after we got rid of people like Khamenei, who was not even a ruler of a country. It is more so, the leader of a terror organization who took a country hostage.
Right. You mentioned Walesa, you mentioned Mandela. Another scenario that could happen is the one we saw unfold in Venezuela, where Nicolas Maduro, the leader, was taken out, jailed and not killed, and the vice president, Delcy Rodriguez, took power. Is this a scenario that Israel would accept, essentially Ali Khamenei replaced by someone from the system, from the regime that you've been fighting for all those years?
Well, we say the following. Then we will have to settle for the obliteration of the nuclear program and the obliteration of the ballistic missile program. Listen, nothing can be worse than what we had so far. I mean, Khamenei, as I was saying, he was a ruler of fear. He was somebody who oppressed his own people. He was the greatest exporter of terror throughout the globe, not only in the Middle East, all around the globe. It can't get any worse. It can only get better. I wish, for the sake of the Iranian people, for the sake of the region and the world, that they will come up with something better than just a successor of Khamenei from the same regime. But anything will be better than what we had so far.
Do you think President Trump will stay the course? I mean, he's been elected on an America First basis. He says, I'm not going to do what we did in Iraq. I'm not going to do what we did in Afghanistan. Regime change wars are not for me. Well, this is what he is trying. Do you think he will stay the course, or he will say after a while, too many casualties, too much blowback, let's stop it and let's find a solution that might not be the one you're seeking?
Well, like any other Israeli, and I think like any other citizen of the world, I'm full of admiration to the courage, the stamina, and the foresight that the president has shown in going into this operation. It will just make the world a safer place. And I think this is what he had in mind, the understanding that the nuclear Iran is cannot be tolerated, the understanding that what all they do is they're stall and buying time in order to develop more and more the military capabilities, and they want to do it because they want to use it, not only against Israel, first and foremost against Israel, but not only against Israel. I would say the analogy was, what do you think, if in 9/11 bin Laden had nuclear weapon, do you think he would have used it? Of course he would have. So this is what the president is seeing and understanding. Not everybody around him understands it the same way as he does, but this is why he's the president and they are not.
In your exchanges with Benjamin Netanyahu, were you given a sense that the Iranian threat was imminent, as Donald Trump said? Because we know the nuclear program was put back or really nearly eliminated by last June's war. Was there a renewal of that program that worried Israel, or maybe more ballistic missiles that we don't know, because the record, the public record doesn't show that there was an imminent threat?
There was an imminent threat. You must ask yourself, why is it that they were working so hard to build those powers? Yes, there was still about 400 kilo of enriched uranium in Iran that they were trying to hide. Still, some of the facilities were capable of producing more enriched uranium. And we saw in the intelligence that they're trying to rebuild some of those facilities that were ruined last June. And on top of this, they manufactured ballistic missiles in a rhythm they haven't done before. So, and you have to ask yourself, why did they do all that? And the answer was because they wanted to use it. And how is it that we know they wanted to use it? Because they said so, bluntly. They were outspoken about the fact that they need those capabilities because they wanted to use it. You know, people asked me in the last few days, was this a war of choice? Of course not. Of course not. I mean, unless the choice is to wait until they fire at us a shower of ballistic missiles, or fire at us or use against us an atomic bomb. So this is not much of a choice. We needed to go out there and prevent those things from happening before they're happening. Listen, we learned the lesson on October 7th. No more containment, no more waiting for the other side to move. If there is a threat, we're going to act upon it.
You mentioned missiles. Obviously, missiles are being fired at Israel. In June, 32 Israelis died. There are already casualties. But the difference between this time and in June is that Iran is also striking many of its neighbors where there are American bases. The regime in Tehran says we're only hitting the American bases, not your country. What do you make of this war becoming a regional war?
Well, first of all, you're right. I mean, part of the difference between Israel and Iran is that we are trying to hit military targets, and they're trying to hit civilian targets. I just came back before this interview from Bet Shemesh when a missile hit a synagogue, and 9 people were killed, including 3 children from the same family. And, you know, you ask yourself, where are all the people who are talking about the children of Gaza when 3 Israeli children from the same family are killed? How is it that they are so silent? About your question, I think the Iranians has miscalculated by firing on the Saudis and the Emirates and Bahrain and the Qataris and Kuwait. They thought that this will cause the former regional partners to press on the Americans to stop the war. Instead, they have themselves created a coalition, a regional coalition against Iran, because the Saudis and the Emirates, for example, are not going to sit on their hands while somebody is firing upon their own people. So I think right now it's not a regional war as the Iranians have hoped. It is a war of the entire region against Iran because Iran has become a rogue country.
So don't you think that those countries who tried to prevent a war, the Omani foreign minister just hours before said we were within reach of a deal, are not going to come back to the Trump administration and tell them this is hurting us? obviously militarily, economically, the Strait of Hormuz, global trade, the oil markets, and that Donald Trump, also with the US elections coming, will decide, okay, we have to stop it because this could get out of control?
No, I think these are proud nations. I think they understand, they read the map very well. They understand geopolitics. They understand that if they will give in to Iran this time around, they will be held hostage forever. I think they saw what the American Navy has done to what is left of the Iranian Navy, and therefore they understand the Iranians cannot block Hormuz forever. And therefore what they're doing is what any country in its right mind would have done in the situation, which is reacting to the fact they were attacked, even though they were not involved beforehand. This was a one-sided attack coming from Iran on countries that has done them no harm. And therefore, as I was saying, they created a coalition of countries who are saying, okay, enough is enough. And I saw, as you did, I assume, Mark, what the leaders of Saudi Arabia, Emirates, Bahrain, and others have said. They're not going to tolerate this, and they're right.
I want to get quickly to Lebanon. Obviously, after days of waiting, Hezbollah became involved. Israel is striking back. The Prime Minister of Lebanon, Nawaf Salam, came out with a statement today saying Lebanon will seek to enforce, I quote, the immediate ban of all Hezbollah security and military activities and will consider them illegal. Do you consider this just as a statement or maybe an important change within Lebanon?
Well, I would say the question is whether he can put his military where his mouth is. Meaning if he can enforce what he said. Of course, this is the right sentiment. Hezbollah is dragging the entire country of Lebanon to the deepest hole possible, because if they will continue what they started yesterday, this will be the consequences to Lebanon will be horrific. Israel, as I was saying, Israel is done containing threats. Anyone who is trying to hit Israeli citizens or cities will pay a dear price for it, and therefore the president of Lebanon is right telling Hezbollah, what are you doing? Are you going to drag us into the oblivion, into the just because what? You gave a promise to the Iranians. This is not our war, and I don't want to get involved. And if they're smart, they will listen. And if they were not smart, we will retaliate.
Just as a last question, there are elections scheduled to happen in Israel. Do you think that Benjamin Netanyahu will campaign on saying, I eliminated Hamas, I eliminated Hezbollah, I eliminated Iran's supreme leader, and that will be enough to get him re-elected?
No. I don't want to do politics these days. I mean, Israel is under an attack, and it's. I mean, there will be enough time for politics and for campaigning, and I think we're going to win. The polls are still showing we're going to win. And elections usually are not about the past; they're about the future, and the future of the country lies with us, not with Netanyahu. But all of this can wait until this war is over. Right now, we all stand united opposite a common enemy.
Yair Lapid, thank you very much for being our guest here on France 24, and thank you all for watching this show.